doors of the yurt open and a bunch of little kids come running out. They all look at me and say, "I'm here from the Qazaqstan Halqyna Foundation. I came to see your homes to understand what condition they're in. We don't use a single tenge from the charity funds for administrative costs." Have people become disillusioned with charity as a whole, especially after such a big scandal? At the top it says Qazaqstan Halqyna, and underneath it says Qazaqstan Halqyna, which means from the people of Kazakhstan. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that we're helping our own people. Did it work? You know, it did. Lazzat Chinkisbayeva joined the Qazaqstan Halqyna Foundation with a wealth of experience in charitable work. She'd already played a key role in rebuilding the city of Aras, and there were countless personal stories when Lazzat Chinkisbayeva, the director of the public foundation, was there. She says her belief in charity goes back many years. Lazzat Altynbekovna, good afternoon. Thank you. You've been with Qazaqstan Halqyna from day one, and now you're serving as chair. Before that, you were deputy chair. Has taking on this new role changed your day-to-day work in any way? Well, the responsibility definitely feels heavier, but honestly, the only real change is my office. Other than that, it's the same fast-paced work, the same full schedule. Lazzat Altynbekovna, as of March the 1st, we understand that the fund has accumulated 252,391,314,322.8 tenge, as stated on your website. Anyone can visit and see this figure, then dive into the annual reports. But I'm really curious about how the financial side of the fund works. Does the fund generate any income? What happens with the money once it's received? Do you earn any investment returns, or is the money put to work in some way before it's used for social projects?
Очень приятно, что вы, прежде чем прийти, все-таки изучили наш сайт. Не все так делают. Но, знаете, да, дело в том, что мы должны понимать, что инициировать о создании фонда принял решение сам президент страны Касым-Жомарт Кемелова. И, естественно, призыв
First of all, I appreciate that you took the time to explore our website.
тоже делал наш президент. И
Not everyone does that.
динамику поступления хочу сказать.
It's important to remember that the foundation was created on the initiative of the president himself, Kazym-Jomart Tokayev.
Фонд создавался в 2022 году.
He also appealed directly to major companies and donors to support the cause.
Важно было показать именно прозрачность. Финансовая прозрачность.
When people ask about how donations flow, I always say most of the funds came in right when the foundation launched back in 2022.
Он должен был увидеть
From the very beginning, transparency has been our guiding principle.
наш общественник.
In the world of charity, trust is everything.
Увидеть, кто же поддержит.
The entire system only works as long as people believe in it.
Так и юридическое.
Every donor needs to know exactly where their money is going.
Принципиально размещать.
That's why we publicly list every contributor, whether they're individuals or companies, and show how much they donated.
Числение фонда, в принципе, важно было.
When it comes to larger corporate donors, we also take into account which banks they normally work with.
Банком она работает.
Right now, we partner with 8 second-tier banks that meet certain rating standards, plus Kazpost.
Уровня определенного рейтинга. И
So if a company wants to make a donation, we don't force them to use a particular bank. They just let us know which one they prefer.
компания поддержать нас, выступить в качестве донора, вы просто-напросто говорите нам, с каким банком вы работаете.
So the donor chooses the bank, not the foundation.
Донор сам выбирает банк.
The donor is free to choose the bank that works best for them, the one they're already using.
В договоре указано.
We then provide the account details for that specific bank in the agreement.
Он видит движение своих денег.
The donor can track their money every step of the way.
На счет падают деньги.
Once the funds arrive in our account, they stay there and aren't mixed or transferred to other accounts. Why? Because if we did that, it would be harder to maintain financial transparency. So this is a key principle for us.
Для нас это принципиально.
That brings me to another question. How is the foundation's internal work funded? I mean, your staff, salaries, and general operations. Where does that money come from?
Не так много. И
Let me start by saying we don't have a huge team,
одной тинки не
and we don't touch a single tenge from donations for administrative expenses.
размещены эти деньги.
As for the bank where the donations are held, we do have some short-term deposits there.
Может быть, краткосрочные.
Why? Because we're not in favor of making 100% upfront payments for services, goods, or work.
Предоплату за
We believe in paying a small advance and then settling the balance once everything has been delivered and set up.
делать небольшую.
Why? Because that way you can be sure everything is in place. The equipment has arrived, it's installed and working, the staff is trained, and so on.
Обучен персонал там.
It gives everyone peace of mind.
Понимаю, что всех все устраивает, и значит...
So you're making sure that every donation is used responsibly. And the interest we earn from those short-term deposits is what we use to cover all administrative costs. Is that enough? When it comes to questions about our partnerships, people often ask why we have so many NGO partners.
Тоже неправительственных организаций.
And we explain, yes, that's the case, but that's exactly the point of a partnership. They're not service providers. We simply hire and pay.
Услуги.
We decided not to set up a branch network because it would involve significant administrative costs, like staff salaries and appointing directors,
Потому что это штат, это директор,
the rent.
до офиса и так далее. Поэтому мы вышли другим путем. Мы вышли таким путем, что
Exactly. Instead, we took a different approach.
в направлении
In every sector, the NGO market is already quite developed.
есть хорошие
There are strong professional foundations out there running various projects, and we can collaborate with them to bring these projects to life.
и, пожалуйста, реализовывать проект.
Over the past 3 years, you must have traveled all over Kazakhstan. You mentioned recently inaugurating a facility in a village. Do you feel it's important to be there in person for such events? After all, you were traveling even when you were a deputy, and now as chairwoman, you're still doing it. Why is that so important to you?
Вообще,
I believe every organization needs to have a human face. And when we open something in a village, the whole community shows up.
там же объяснить.
For them, it's a major event. I think it's important to be there and explain things directly. Like, for instance, that this fund was established by the president, that he made sure it had the resources to really address urgent issues.
Президента работает.
I want people to see that the president's ideas are working.
Второй момент.
First of all, we should thank him. Second, I want people to understand how much work goes into this.
Режется, а я...
They just see a beautiful new building and a ribbon-cutting ceremony, but I explain who our partners are, what contributions they made, how it all came together. You're right, we don't take the easy route. Let me give you an example.
Узнать как.
During the floods, I went to Kostanay region to get a first-hand look at what was going on. It was crucial for us to really understand the situation. When I arrived and asked which part of the region was hit hardest, they said the south, Amangilde and Jangilde districts in the Torgay steppe.
Потому что дорог нет, всё.
I said that I'm going there, I need to see it for myself.
Там живут и как там
They told me, Lazzat Chinkisbayeva, it'll be really hard to get there.
большую часть половины.
The roads are completely washed out. And I said, but people live there, don't they? We have to find a way. I made it halfway and had to turn back. It was that bad.
Вот, допустим,
But later, I came back again. This time, I made it all the way. And let me tell you, from Kostanay to the last village I reached was over 700 kilometers. Not a single proper road. I was driving across open fields and steppe. When I finally arrived in the village of Kulkamas, I was exhausted.
но я когда увидела,
But then I saw these yurts set up for humanitarian aid. The doors opened and the whole crowd of little kids came running out.
двери юрт открыты.
Tiny children everywhere. I just stood there, stunned.
Детей, вот понимаете, маленьких, я встала.
Were they running to you?
Да, они бегут.
Yes, they were running straight toward me. I looked at them and they were all looking back at me.
Я говорю, вот я
I told them I'm here from the Qazaqstan Halqyna Foundation. I came to see your homes to understand what condition they're in, so we can decide where and how to rebuild. That's when I found out. In this tiny village, with only about 20 houses, there are 11 Batr Ana, mothers with 10 or more children. I was completely floored. I said, you know, in other regions, some families are thinking of moving to the city. But they told me, no, we're staying right here. This is our home. We've got livestock, work to do, our kids are growing up here. We're fine. Just help us rebuild our homes, and that's all we need. We're not going anywhere. I was overwhelmed, moved, shocked, and heartbroken all at once. I stood up and said, we'll build your homes. They asked, really? 700 kilometers from Kostanay. Yes, and they looked at me and said, we want to believe you, Lazzat, but if you let us down, we'll lose faith in everything. And that hit me hard. In that moment I knew, no matter what it takes, we're going to make this happen. Back in Kostanay, we started talking to construction companies, but they didn't want to take it on. They said, that's way too far. The logistics alone will eat up the whole budget. It's just not feasible. I told them, look, I understand it's difficult, but if you, as local contractors, aren't willing to help your own people in your own region, then who will? You might not make a profit on this, but I promise you won't lose money either. Let's break even. That's enough. What matters is that we help these families, our people. And did it work? It did. When I went back and saw the joy on their faces. You were there for the opening. You know, the houses turned out absolutely stunning. They told me we never would have built anything like this for ourselves in a million years. We never even dreamed of having homes like these. They've got a bathtub, a sink, underfloor heating. It's all there. The houses are made of brick with a solid foundation and different kinds of pitched roofs. And the facades look gorgeous. Honestly, everything just transformed. I was so happy. It felt like I had been given these houses as a gift. It's well known that Qazaqstan Halqyna helps children undergo complex surgeries abroad. But we also know that similar procedures are covered by the mandatory social health insurance. How do these two programs work together? Could you explain? Sure. The way it works is this. Whenever someone gets sick, the first thing they do is go to the hospital. They get registered, their records are updated, and then the doctors assess the situation. Once they have a diagnosis, each patient follows a specific treatment pathway, which is approved by the Ministry of Health. Every doctor is familiar with this procedure. If the treatment isn't available locally, the patient is referred to a regional hospital. If it's not available there either, they go to a specialized national medical center. Once they get there, a team of specialists reviews the case and makes a decision. If the treatment can be done here in Kazakhstan, great. If not, maybe due to a lack of expertise, equipment, or because the procedure is too complex or high-tech, they send the case to the Ministry of Health Working Group, which, representing the Ministry and the state of Kazakhstan, works with different countries. From there, the materials are forwarded to specialized organizations abroad. So they start looking for hospitals abroad that can treat the child. Exactly. They receive several offers from clinics abroad. Then a commission reviews these options and makes a decision. But here's where things can get tricky. Some countries require full prepayment for the treatment. Our system, however, works on a 30-70 model, 30% upfront and the rest when the treatment is completed. This creates a bit of a legal issue. The clinic might refuse the patient if the payment terms don't match. That's where Qazaqstan Halqyna steps in.
перечисляет нам.
We say, we'll cover the 70% up front.
Это один из вариантов. Бывает случаи,
This ensures the treatment can go ahead while all the paperwork is being finalized.
да, регламентом. И в Казахстане
Once the ministry makes the final payment, the foreign clinic reimburses us.
моменты, потому что у рабочего органа есть
That's one of the ways we help out.
то, что они отправляют за рубеж.
There are also cases that don't meet the criteria for treatment abroad under the ministry's regulations.
И в реестре этого нет.
In those cases, even if the National Health Organization certifies that the condition can't be treated in Kazakhstan, it might not be on the official list of approved treatments for international care.
Государственный орган,
That's when Qazaqstan Halqyna gets involved.
у них уже
The only thing we ask is that the ministry works directly with the foreign clinic.
этого гражданина.
Why? Because when an official government body is involved, there's more accountability.
Договор нам высылают,
The foreign clinic knows that the state is backing the patient.
мы не профильная организация.
It's a more secure arrangement for everyone.
Вот, поэтому
Sometimes the ministry will send us the contract once everything is sorted.
среди них, конечно,
We just sign it because we are a public foundation, not a medical expert body.
миллионов тенге, если быть точнее.
So far, we've helped send around 24 patients abroad. 80% of them are children, at a total cost of about 500 million tenge.
Из них мы порядка
To be precise, I think it was 498 million.
тенге уже
For context, Kazakhstan Halqyna has a total budget of 252 billion tenge.
только медицины.
Of that, we've already invested about 132.8 billion in healthcare projects. What does this tell us? Nearly 60% of our entire budget is dedicated to healthcare. And that's because we're committed to improving medical services here in Kazakhstan. We have excellent doctors. But even the best doctors can only do so much without the proper tools.
Что мог бы сделать с хорошим инструментом. Каждый донор, он понимает, что тот или иной ангар – это его.
When donors contribute, they know exactly where their money is going.
Видит, что с этого счета именно.
For example, I recently visited Shiele in the Kızılorda region, where we opened a sports hall funded by South Oil.
Мы там разместили табличку.
We even put up a plaque inside the facility to acknowledge their contribution.
Профинансировано это строительство.
We want these plaques to be visible because we believe charity should be brought into the spotlight and encouraged more widely.
Потому что я считаю, что благотворительность нужна.
When people come to use the gym and see the plaque, they might say, "Oh, that's the company that paid for this building."
Табличку, да, и раз прочитали.
Thanks to them, we've got this fantastic hall to use every day.
И вот.
And then they think, "Thank you, Qazaqstan Halqyna. Thank you, President, for supporting this fund. And thanks to the donors who made this possible."
Фонд, да, и за то, что есть такие доноры, которые так помогают. А вот вы говорите.
You're talking about raising awareness for charity in general, but when I looked at the foundation reports, I noticed a lot of donations come from individuals, different amounts, but some as small as 100 or 500 tenge, with others reaching several hundred thousand.
Но от там банально 100-500 тенге.
Я просто, наверное, в благотворительной сфере очень давно. Я просто знаю одно, что человека заставить поделиться своей небольшой суммой.
I've been in the charity sector for a long time, and here's what I know. You can't force people to give, especially when it's a smaller amount.
Какие-то соображения, но я хочу
But donations come from a genuine place.
призывали,
Everyone has their own reasons.
чтобы заработную плату перечислить.
What's really important here is trust.
Когда мы видим,
We've never asked individuals or companies to donate their salaries to our foundation. That's not something we do.
я хочу сказать, у нас
But when we see that a donation has been made, it's a decision driven by the person's desire, their willingness.
работали дизайн. Очень
Our foundation just celebrated its 3rd anniversary, and to mark the occasion, we created a special award.
название, да, нашего фонда. Они же
It's a beautiful statuette with Qazaqstan Halqyna to the people of Kazakhstan at the top and Qazaqstan Halqyna underneath from the people of Kazakhstan.
У нас есть партнеры, все наши проекты в основном.
We've always focused on partnerships because in reality, 80% of our projects are done in collaboration with partners.
Мы все-таки реализуем 104.
And we've had donors who've been instrumental in making things happen, helping us carry out 104 major projects across 20 regions of Kazakhstan.
Вы знаете, мы решили,
We also decided to recognize one particular donor.
все-таки его тоже наградить.
We invited him to our conference, and honestly, we were curious to meet him.
Стабильно перечисляя.
He's been consistently making donations, and we just wanted to know who is he.
Этого человека увидеть вживую. Просто кто это?
So who was it?
Вы знаете, вот приехал, у него небольшое предприятие, небольшой предприниматель, да, так скажем, мы больше, наверное, относится к такому среднему, даже, может, малому бизнесу. Настолько скромный человек. И
It was a small business owner, someone with a modest enterprise, maybe more of a small to medium business.
Может быть, моя сумма...
He was incredibly humble and said, I might not give as much as the big companies, but I want to be part of this.
Но я хочу быть к этому причастен, но я...
I trust your foundation because I see your transparency in your reports.
Я доверяю вашему фонду, потому что я вижу всю вашу отчетность.
Lazzat Chinkisbayeva, I think we can't avoid talking about the Bizbergemes scandal and the criminal case. Do you think that people have become disillusioned with charity in general because of the scandal? Or do you think they've become more selective about which foundations they support?
Вы знаете, мы не так давно
You know, we had a discussion with representatives from the ministry and the Financial Monitoring Agency not long ago. They came to us saying they wanted to talk about how we operate.
К нам прийти, они изучили наш сайт.
Before meeting us, they had already looked at our website, our portal, and how we handle donations and applications.
Потому что даже они сделали выводы, что
They were really impressed and even said that we might be the only foundation that operates with such transparency.
на сайте есть все, кроме...
I always joke that our website has everything on it, except for an ultrasound of my kidneys. They mentioned that they wanted to figure out how to make charity more transparent in Kazakhstan.
Так, чтобы в стране все-таки благотворительность...
They pointed out that there are over 26,000 NGOs registered with the Justice Department. But who are they?
зарегистрированных в органах юстиции. Кто они?
26,000.
И теперь, понимаете, кто-то говорит о том, что...
Some say there are around 5,000 foundations, while others estimate only about 500 are active and regularly publishing reports.
изучить зарубежный опыт,
But if we take a look at international examples like Charity Navigator in the US, each foundation has its own profile in the registry, its own dashboard, if you will.
так скажем, окно.
They even use a star rating system similar to what you'd see for hotels.
У него есть звездность. Как...
And we understand that a 5-star rating means the organization is operating transparently, running a significant number of projects, and addressing a wide variety of social issues.
Да, много...
Essentially, the more stars, the more reliable the foundation is.
То есть у него это...
Overseas, when you access such a registry, you can search based on your interests.
Я ищу так.
Because, of course, people have different causes they care about.
Потому что считаю,
Some prefer to help animals, believing that humans should take care of their own issues.
детям с теми или иными...
Others focus on helping children with specific diseases, thinking that healthy people should be self-sufficient.
Хочет помогать спорту.
And some believe in promoting sports, thinking that if everyone gets active, fewer people will get sick.
И вот,
Everyone has their own approach.
допустим, ты выбираешь...
So when you search the registry, say for animal welfare, you'll find a list of charities, and you can see their star ratings.
звездность, и чем больше звездность, ты понимаешь.
The higher the rating, the more you can trust that foundation with your donation.
То есть, может быть,
Maybe one day we'll have a similar system here, where the charitable sector is just as transparent and easy to navigate.
будет понятный.
Lazzat Chinkisbayeva, we all remember when Qazaqstan Halqyna was founded, the circumstances around it. At the time you were working in Almaty, where your help was really needed. But then you became deputy chairwoman. What made you decide to take on this role?
Вы знаете, я же имела уже опыт в благотворительной сфере.
You know, I already had experience in the charity sector.
Грамотно, четко было понятно, потому что
From a financial perspective, I was confident that things would be well structured, clear and professionally managed. Especially since the chairman, Jamishev, is one of the best in this field.
И тут, наверное, нужен был человек
And of course the president knew this and took it into account right from the start.
второй части именно общественной деятельности.
But what was really needed is someone in the deputy role who could bring balance to the other side of things, the public and charitable work, and provide what's needed.
Всю жизнь внутри своего.
I've spent my whole life working on the ground, walking alongside my people.
Я понимала, о чем идет.
So when the offer came and I understood the scope and the seriousness of the social issues involved, I was genuinely happy to be chosen as the person through whom positive and meaningful work could be achieved.
Из которого делаются добрые, благие дела.